John announced a solo tour with him, and you released a new solo record, A Beautiful
Hmm.
Shade of Grey.
Yeah.
And to my great surprise, it is totally different from anything you've released in your solo
Hmm.
career.
Yeah.
Those heavy, real heavy guitars and those electronic elements gave way to a more folk and hard rock sound. So, what made you choose this change? This change?
Uh, I really wanted to challenge myself with doing something for the most part that was different. I just, I've always over the years, and since I can remember, even when I was a kid, whenever I'd hear my rock heroes do an acoustic version of a song, to me it just struck so rich with me, so profoundly moving. And I remember, just saying to myself, kind of like in casual thought, eventually I want to do something like that. I want to do an album that, fundamentally speaking, it's coming from a more grassroots acoustic setting, and then build it from there. Even though it's got to be still a full ensemble, it has to feel like it's still something that you can easily sink into and gravitate towards. So, with A Beautiful Shade of Grey, writing this album with Paul Logue, who's a phenomenal musician, and we just had such a great time writing this album. And not to mention bringing in, Christian Polkinen on keyboards and Marco Sfoli on guitar, soloing, and all that, and then Chance Labrie on drums.
Yeah.
I think that all these guys to the they came to the camp knowing exactly what was expected of them, and we wanted them to be able to ingratiate uh, their talent into the album so that it made it that much more impactful. And I think we nailed it. So to me, it was always something that I thought, if I can do this properly and we can approach these songs properly, it also allows me as a singer to be able to show you other sides of me, so that it's much more uh, uh, deep, deeply felt, and that you can really sink into my emotions and all the nuances and subtleties and inflections in my voice. You're really able to hear, and that to me was something where, as I said, it's still going to be rock based, but maybe there'll be some alternative elements going on in there. But it will still resonate with who and what I am as a musician, showing that I'm that much more diverse than maybe what you hear from me in Dream Theater or what you've heard from me in my previous solo albums. This is something totally different. And a lot of that came from being able to sit down with a musician like Paul Logue, and be able to say, okay, this is the direction I think we should go in. And that him and I were on the same page from day one till day done, you know? And yeah, so I'm very, very proud of it. I think it came out amazing. Yeah.
And Chance Labrie is not only the drummer of this record; he's also the co-producer.
Yes.
How do you see his work in its entirety as a drummer and as a co-producer?
Well, because he when he came in, Paul and I had already written about 3 songs, 4 songs, and so Paul Logue actually asked Chance to play drums on this album. I didn't. It was Paul, and it was better coming from Paul than me, because it would have felt like I was forcing it. But Paul was like, "I love I love Chance's drumming. I think he's very talented. I think he would be perfect for this album." And I said, "Sure, I think so too." Um, so then when Chance came in, he started getting involved in the arrangements. Um, he recorded all my vocals right here in this studio here,
Hmm.
um, and uh, he uh, he was very, very much involved, and even what he was bringing, like all the percussion. and percussive elements that he brought into the album, and then just his drumming and the way that he let the drumming breathe and let it. It was very appropriate for each and everything. So he started having a lot of suggestions, like, hey, sonically we got to be thinking this and thinking that. So that's how he started coming into being the co-producers, because it wasn't just him writing drum parts and bringing in percussion and all this other stuff. And he started getting involved with the arrangements of the songs and with the sound, with the feel, and it really was very instrumental. No pun intended again, but yeah, it really helped and lent itself to how this album ended up sounding.